Hey guys, I got a DIY project going on this weekend. Hopefully it'll turn out right. What I plan to do is I've got these Yamaha CM500 combination headset slash microphone, and I'll just unwrap all this here. I had to stowed away. So it's basically I don't know what it was designed for. I don't know if it's designed for gaming or what have you, but it's got the headphones and also has a microphone. So this is an electric microphone, so it does have a power supply to go with it. But the reason I bought this is for ham radio use. On this end it has a mic jack and a headphone jack. The goal today is to get this modified so I can use it with my Yaesu FT-857d with this foot switch. Now this foot switch I got on Amazon. I'll put a link to all this in the description. So basically what I want to do is take this foot switch, put it on the floor, and use this to key the radio instead of a button or using a hand mic. And the idea behind that is that if I have this on the floor and I'm on my radio in a contest or otherwise keeping a log, with this foot switch and this headset with a microphone, I can have both my hands free to use the computer for logging or even write down information for the log. So you basically would just step on this, it will key the radio, and your hands would be free to write and copy whatever the case may be. So it was looked like something fun, interesting for me to do. Another thing I want to do is that the headphones on this are stereo. I don't know if you can see that, but the number of channels here, a left and right and the ground. And well, this is not the headphone jack, but so I did have another set of headphones I used that are mono, so it just has the tip and the ground, or tip and ring. So like I said, if I plug my headphones into my radio fully, if I plug the jack in there all the way, I only hear audio on one side, and I'd rather hear it on both. So even though it won't be stereo, I'll have the same audio on both sides of my head, and which it sounds a little bit better to me. So anyway, I'm gonna get started here, get everything laid out, and hopefully get on the way. So subject of note here is that the Yaesu 857d uses a modular plug on the microphone, and you know it's very, actually it is exactly the same. It's wired the same as a standard Cat 5 cable that you would get with your cable modem to plug into your computer. So, and that's exactly where this yellow one I have came from. It came from an old I don't remember, is a router or a modem I had, and it was just shoved away with it. And I'm going to use this as the sacrificial cable. So basically I'm just going to cut probably about 10 inches, because the radio plugs in. The FT-857 has a plate on the front of it, and I'll throw a picture on here that you can slide off and to remote the head, so to speak. So you could, it's a mobile radio, so you could put the radio under your seat and put the control head elsewhere and control it from the mic or whatever. So you can see the whole display. It's just the head unit that is separate. So this plugs into the main body of the unit behind the faceplate. So I need to let it have enough room to plug it in, put the faceplate back on, and have the leads coming out. So I'm probably going to cut this, I don't know, about that far, 8 or 10 inches. No big deal for me. So I'll just go ahead and cut that. And this is the piece I'll use, and I'll be able to plug that in and have it coming out the side of the radio with no problem. I have my cheat sheet here, and I got the wiring from the microphone, and so I know you can't read my chicken scratch. So basically this cable has white, orange, orange, green, white, blue, blue, white, green, brown, white, and brown wires inside it. And the only ones that we're going to need are the blue and white, the green, and the brown and white. And that is going to be all I cut back and strip here. And so once we get started, I'll go ahead and strip this back and get started with it. I'll probably strip it back quite a ways, just have plenty of room to go by. And I'm cutting this jacket really lightly because I don't want to nick any of the wires inside. I don't have anything big enough to strip a wire this diameter, so I got to take my time and really be careful. Yeah, I'm probably going to cut my finger, but I do it all the time anyway, so it's no big deal to me. I'm sure there's a better way to do this. I don't have the strippers for Cat 5 cable, so I got to do it the old-fashioned way with a razor knife. I actually have a friend of mine who is an electronic technician, and that's what he did when he's in the Marine Corps. And one of the things they taught them to do was to strip wires with razor blades or X-Acto knives without nicking them, and he's pretty good at it. It's not the easiest thing to do, I'll tell you that. Alright, so we got that new wire stripped out, and as you can see, they're twisted into pairs, and which is pretty cool. I mean, you can see that right there. Well, maybe you can't. There we go. So if I can get this in the screen. Okay, so the only ones we're going to need, like I said, are the blue, white, the green, and the brown and white. So I'm going to cut away the ones that I don't need. So the orange ones aren't needed. I'll just cut them out of the way back here. The green and white one isn't needed, so I will separate the green and white wires and take out just the green with the white. And I'm not going to need the solid brown wire, so I'll just cut that one back as well, like so. And these are just scrap trash. So what I'm left with, let me get these wires separated and I'll hold it up to the camera a little better. What I'm left with is the blue. Let me get these separated. This is hard to do with my camera at the angle it is. So here's what I'm left with right here. The blue and white, the green, and the brown and white. So what happens with these wires here in a minute is the blue and white wires go to the mic. The blue and white is the mic, the solid blue is a ground for that. And the green and brown and white go to the push to talk. The green is the PTT and the brown and white is the ground. So hopefully the information I have is correct, and once I get these connected, it should be no problem at all. So so basically I'm going to wire just a connector on the end of these, and I have them right here. So I have these cables right here. This is just your standard, it's like a 1/8 of an inch extension cable, and all I need is this end. So I will solder the female end onto this wire, the blue one, the blue and white for the mic, and I'll solder another one onto this end for the push to talk. And so once I get this accomplished, I will get started again. So I'm gonna get everything set up and I'll be right back. Alright, so one thing I'm going to have to do with these wires, as you can see, I've already got the ends cut the way I want them. One's going to be for the push to talk and one's going to be for the earphones. So I stripped back the wires already. I haven't tinned them or anything like that. So before I do too much more, I need to figure out which one of this is ring or the tip and which one of these is the ground. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Okay, so it looks to me like if I put this across the outside here, to double check, the white is the ground and the red is the tip. So now we know. Now we know. White is ground. So with that information, I know that when I wire the mic up here, I haven't prepped these cables either. When I wire the mic, the blue is going to go to the white wire and the blue and white is going to go to the red wire. So we'll go ahead and get this ready. I'll probably speed some of this up, so I'm just going to strip back the blue and white, and uh-oh, my wire strippers are not made for this small of a wire. Should work. There we go. These are very small diameter wires here. I'll go ahead and strip the other ones too. So if you don't have any wire strippers to get this small, you could always, you know, do the wire stripper thing, or They make a pair of lineman scissors that actually have a notch cut in them for stripping wire. I don't have one of those. I'll go ahead and I got my soldering iron ready to go. And the iron I use is it's a Pace ST-25. It's a pretty decent unit. I bought it used on eBay for like $27, and it's a really good soldering station. And I get my little helping hands. I don't like these things. Now let me tell you what, this can be handy, but more times than not, it is a pain, man. I mean, but it does make things like this easy. I mean, you know, I could put the wire right there, and but man, is it sometimes a pain to use. So I'm going to tin the wires, because it makes them easier when you solder them together. Doesn't take a lot. So that one's tinned. Just want to dress them up a little bit. Alright, so I have my leads with my female connectors tinned. Go ahead and do all these. So I have my wires all tinned, ready to go. And I need to put some heat shrink on them. And I bought this kit on eBay some time ago. It was 127 pieces of, I keep flipping this around, it's 127 pieces of heat shrink, different sizes. And I do have some small ones here, so we'll see, the diameter wise. I might need one to go over the whole cable too, so. These little plastic bags have a tendency to not open well. So I need one for that. Let's get a few of them out. Let's get an extra one there. Put these back in the box. The trick here is going to be not melting this wire when I solder it on there. So I'm going to trim these a little bit. Each one of these is going to get some heat shrink. Now I do have a heat gun for using on this on these wires for the heat shrink, but most of the time I've got a little propane torch down here that I use for lighting. It's actually a cigar lighter, and it works pretty well. If I can finagle this thing so I can get these wires together, that'd be a miracle. Alright, so let me get this in there. Okay, and we'll start with one of these. So basically what I'm trying to do here is I'll start with the brown and white and the green wire, since they're at the bottom. And sorry you can't see some of this, it's not really close. I guess I can zoom in a little bit. Let me see. I'm going to, let's just say I'm going to solder the so this is going to be the push to talk. The push to talk. And what I'll do just for temporarily is I'm going to wrap a piece of red electrical tape around that connector. And I'll consider that the push to talk switch. And it, you know, it makes sense in my head because red is associated with transmit. So why not put red tape around the connector there? So I'll just put a little red tape right here. This will be my transmit lead. So I'm sorry, this will be the push to talk lead. So red is for so red is for transmit, and this will be the lead. So back to what I was saying, when I checked the continuity of this wire, I determined that white was the ground. And according to my little diagram, on the push to talk side, the white is the ground, and that will be soldered to the brown and white wire there. So if I can get this up here, we'll be doing this just right. So because these wires are so small, I would normally like wrap them around each other, but I'm not sure if I can do that here. So I'm just going to get them close like that and see if I can get some solder on the two of them. Gotta be careful. Everything here is small, and I don't have the soldering iron set too hot, so hopefully this will be fine. Shouldn't take much. There we go. And of course that's what happens. Yep, happens every time. Alright. So this will need to sit on top of that.
A few moments later.
Alright, so a couple things that just changed off camera. I was going to solder these wires to the appropriate wires on the Cat 5 cable I have here, right here, this one. Unfortunately, I couldn't get it to do, so what I did was cut the tin part off and stripped a little more, and I'm going to have to wrap them around this when I get ready to solder them. You'll see what I'm saying. And I also added a large piece of heat tube, shrink tubing to the base of this, so when this is done I can slide it over and have a nice clean cable. So let me try this all over again. Alright, so on this end we have the brown and white wire, and right here is the green wire, and this is the wire for, if I can get this in the camera, there we go. Sorry about all the mess ups here, but this is my first time doing a video like this, so. Alright, so I decided that this one would be the push to talk, and that's why I put the red tape around it. So I had to strip more wire off here so I could actually wrap it around these ones. So according to my diagram, like I said before, on the push to talk side of the radio, the ground wire is going to go to the brown and white, and the push to talk to the green. So the white wire I determined was the ground, so I will put the ground to the brown and white wire, and hopefully I can just get this twisted around this one. And it's not easy working with things that are so small, but I should be able to do that if I can get this to work on a little bit. So that's, I'm going to try to do this off camera. I'm good, so I apologize. Well, I was able to get that one soldered. That's a plus. Let me work on the red to the green wire. I think I inadvertently invite Murphy on every project I have ever done. Okay, so I'm back. I got that wire on there. It's heat shrunk, everything. It looks like it's okay. We'll see. Now next I'm going to do the headphones, and that's going to be where the ground is the blue wire. So that's going to go to the white one on this cable. So I will go ahead and get that taken care of. I think I got too much going on right here. So the blue wire is the ground. Go ahead and get that going. Alright, so we have those wires with the heat shrink on them right there, and I will slide this bigger piece down. I will slide this bigger piece of heat shrink down here and get all these nice and neatly shoved in there, and I'll put two on this side, like, okay, same lighter. Alright, so this is the pigtail I've got right here. So hopefully this will be good to go. So this end right here will plug into the radio, and these will hang out the side, and my push to talk switch will go there, and my headphone jack will go in there. So hopefully I've got this one taken care of, and I'll go upstairs when this is done and see how it all works. So far I think it went okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is let me think here. The foot switch. Now I thought about the foot switch. Let me zoom out. So with the foot switch, I don't know if this cable is too big, because I need to put a one of these plugs on it. So I think I was just going to use this wire to plug it up. I don't know how long this is, about 6 feet maybe. So this foot switch here is about, I think they were 6 feet. I think these cables were 6 feet when I bought them. So I think they're right about 6 feet long now, and that's what I'm going to use inside this foot switch here. I'm going to take this old cable off. Now, one other thing I need to mention before I get done is this foot switch. You hear that? It's like a potted light aluminum metal or something. It's really cheap, $7, $8, $9 I paid for this, and it's really as simple. It's just a little switch under this foot pedal, and I'll show you when I take this apart. And but this cable's kind of heavy, and I don't want to solder that big wire to this little wire over here. So let me take this apart. It's pretty simple. So you take this screw. What this little screw right here does, this pin that you see here slides in and out. Right here, this pin right here kind of slides through there and comes out the other side for the pivot. And if you loosen this screw up right here pretty far, this pin will actually slide out, and I'll show you why. So it's got that little recess in the middle of it. Right there. I don't know if you can see that. So that screw kind of locks this pin in place. So once you do that, you can just take the switch out. It's got a big spring in it, and that's all it is. That's all. Just that little switch right there is all it's doing in here. So clearly I need to find out which one of these is. I'm sure that the black is the ground and the red is the send, but we'll figure that out here in a second. Okay, so what I figured out with this switch, there's 3 wires going to it. Now this is probably an AC switch, like for a sewing machine. It's got the 3 wires coming on here. So what I'm going to do is, if you see this white wire at the bottom here, that's like the ground. So if you check it out, there's always continuity on the top one, but if you shut it off, it stops. So my plan is to use the bottom one, because as you can see, I'm touching the bottom one where the red wire is connected, and now there's juice on it. So basically, when I wire the mic up, when I wire this to the push to talk, the part that goes to the ground, when I wire this up to the push to talk, okay, the white one is going to be the ground side of this plug, okay, and the transmit side, or the push to talk side, will be the red wire. So I'm going to first I'm going to see how long this wire is. If it's longer than that one, I'll probably use this cable and I might just wire that one to that one, because it's better to have a longer foot switch so I can put the radio in a different location, but I don't want a 12-footer. So so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to solder the ground lead down here and the push to talk lead right to that one, that red wire right there. And let me get situated to figure out what to do, and I'll be right back. Well, sorry about that. I thought I had the camera turned on. So what I decided to do was to leave this original cable on the foot switch and just wire the push to talk cable that I'm going to use right into that. So that's what I did. And I made a little bit of a mistake, I think, here. I got this cable soldered, but I need a little bit more heat shrink for this section right here. So it's gonna look kind of bad, but we'll see what I can do to dress it up a little bit. I mean, learn by doing, you know. I think I can slide a bigger piece over the connector on that end, and if I need to, I'll disconnect it back here, but I really don't want to do that. This heat shrink came with a lot of different sizes of tubing, and well, that's a bigger piece. So I like this, you know, you don't want to use too big a piece because it doesn't really shrink down far enough, but sometimes I feel like you make a mistake, and even if it doesn't look good, if you can get a big piece over, like I don't know if I can get that over that connector right there. If I can, I don't know if I can get that over that connector right there, but if I can, I'll use it. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to work well for me, so I have to use this bigger piece. Get a bigger piece down there. That'll slide all the way down. And so the heat shrink, I know the battery's dying on my camera. The heat shrink didn't do too well. It's too big to go over the connector, so I might try another bigger piece just to cover this up. We'll see. So my camera's dying. I'll have to swap the battery out here in a second. Okay, so I did get it dressed up fairly well. Not horribly. It could be a lot better. I'm not too worried about it at this point. I'm not trying to win a contest for doing anything fancy. So let's test it real quick. So I left the cover off just in case I did something stupid, which I don't think I did. So this is going to be this whole cable. Right, man, what a mess I got going on. So here's the end. It's going to go into the push to talk right here. This one right here. So if I can do this one-handed, I'll put this here, and I'll put the other probe on the end of the tip there. And so if I hit the foot switch over here, alright, so that seems to be working. So I should be able to plug this right here. Yeah, and when this is plugged into the radio and I step on the foot switch, it should key the radio. And the headphones will just go, or the microphone will just go right into that port right there. Which is the next thing I need to, not the microphone. The microphone is good on the headphones. I need to swap the audio adapter on the headphones to the mono jack so I can have audio in both ears. So, yeah, and another thing, I don't remember if I mentioned it, I bought this adhesive foam. It's really soft. And I was going to line this with it and put some on the bottom so it wouldn't, I got hardwood floors in my house. And so it wouldn't mar the floor up, and line it a little bit just so it didn't sound so clanky and metal. So if I can get that done, I'll record it. If not, it'll sound a little bit different. Alright, well, the only thing I did with the foot switch was put some foam on the bottom so it doesn't mar my floor up. I kind of didn't get it on the edge really well, but I think it'll be fine. If it not, I'll redo it. This stuff is really tacky. It doesn't peel off very well without ripping and tearing, so that should be fine. I got it from work. I don't know what the brand or model is, but it's really good. So I'll find out. If I can find out where they got it, I'll post a link to that in there as well. Okay, so the foot switch is done, and I need to do now is work on the headphones themselves, at least the audio side of it. So we'll get the headphone cable over here. I can do that. I have a mess on this table. I don't know if you've noticed it or not. So so there is the mic right here, and this is the headphone jack. And so everything I've been reading, you know, that left, right, or right, left, and the ground. So I just need to figure out which is which on this cable. And yeah, put that mono cable on there. So I'll probably cut it a little bit back here in case I do screw something up here. And at least I can put this back on if need be. I've got enough slack there. And I'll just split these here. Actually, I will get this split apart, so I'll have two different wires. Alright, so now I'll go over here and I'll find out which one of these wires are which is odd that there's three there and I can only get audio out of one, but I guess it's the way the jack is set up on the radio itself. And I'll just strip these back. And this is just so I'll know which is which on the connector, so I know how to connect that mono connector up. So I'll just strip that back. And oh, see, I hate these. These wires are those really fine wires, and they are hard to work with. They're almost like hair, you know. Yeah. See, this one has, I don't know if that's a wire there or not. So there's a blue wrap thing, and then there's a gold one on this side. And this is gonna be a pain. I may have made a mistake here, but if I did. I guess we'll figure it out together. So I need to ohm these out and find out what's what. Okay, so I have probably really royally ruined something here. Something has got to go to that connector right there.
A few moments later.
And the two uncovered colored, did I just not record this? So these are really, so these wires right here, I don't know if you can see them. The red and the blue are actually the left and right audio channels, and the ones that aren't colored are the grounds, and they're coated with something. I can't get continuity off them without using a really fine piece of sandpaper to sand whatever coating is off of there. And it's going to be a chore to get these soldered together onto the mono cable I plan on using. So I'm going to put the left and right audio on the audio channel on the mono jack, and the ones that the copper wires that aren't colored onto the ground, and I'll probably do that off camera because it's really frustrating and I don't need to get angry and mad on camera. So if I can get this done, I'll be back and show you that I was able to do it. I'm redoing this because I don't know if it came out the first time, but I got it done. the stereo cable for the headphones to the mono jack right here. I will tell you now, I don't recommend anybody trying to do that. For some reason, and I'm sure there's a word for it, but these connectors or these wires inside this cable for the headphones is like a strand of silk wrapped with a really fine copper wire, and it's coated with something, and you had to use sandpaper to get that coating off, and then solder doesn't stick to it, and I finally was able to get it done. It's not pretty. It doesn't look pretty inside of there. I would not show anybody how I did that. I wouldn't recommend it. I would just suffer through that unless there's an adapter you can plug a stereo jack into and convert it to a mono jack. I probably should have looked for that. That might have been a better option. Alright, I have made it back upstairs, and as you can see, the cable is connected to the radio. And if you give me a second, I will show you how it goes inside of there. I can just set the camera down here. So this 857 has a switch on the side. You kind of push it forward, and let me turn this off. And you slide the whole face that way. Okay, so you can just remote this entire front piece here if you have a modular cable that's exactly that long and pinned out. And they make one, but it's kind of expensive. It's called a separation kit, and that's all this whole front head unit does. So the mic normally plugs into here, and there's a notch cut out there and a notch cut at the bottom if you want to take it out the bottom or the side. I just chose the side. So I will put this back on. Lock it in place. It is on. Good to go. Turn the radio back on. We'll just go down to 14, 3, 30, whatever. It doesn't matter. I've got the antenna, the output of the radio going to a 50 ohm dummy load right there. And we'll get started. So I've got the foot switch sitting on the desk right here because I don't want to stick it on the floor and have you go back and forth, and I'll just show you how it works. So it's the cables ran up around so I can get it on the floor, but there's the switch, and the cable comes up right here. Okay, this is the cable connected to the foot switch. And if you remember earlier when I did this, we wanted the red tape to be to push to talk. So I will take this and I will plug this into the PTT version of the or the PTT plug on the radio. And here's the mic right here. Remember me telling you that the microphone on the headphones is powered. It's an Electret, so Electet, whatever it is. So this box will get plugged into this, which is real in reality the microphone. I take the microphone from the headset right here, and I will plug it into this box. It will get its 5 volts back, and so yeah, let's see how it works. So now I've got this right here. You're not going to hear anything in the headset, I don't think, because there's no antenna. So I got the microphone plugged in. This is the headphones, as you can see from the really bad job I had to do because of those wires. It was painful. So I will plug the headphones in right here, and they work. You can hear audio on both sides. Let me see if I can turn this on so you can hear. So you can hear that in there, right? All right. So the idea is to push this button and have the radio key. If you keep an eye on this green light right here, it's on the glowing green because it's receiving, and when it turns red, it'll turn red when you transmit. So in theory, if I push this switch down, it'll turn red, and I know it does because I've already tested it. So if I push it down, it's transmitting, as you can tell. So what this will enable me to do is I will be able to put this on the floor, key the mic that's attached to the headset right here, and I'll be completely hands-free for making voice communications on my Yaesu 857d. And I know it works. There's a couple of QSO parties going on right now. One of them is a Mississippi QSO party, and at about 12:50 or so, I think at the time was, I made a contact with a guy in Mississippi. His call sign was November Alpha 5, November. And he was able to hear me on the second go around. So the microphone is working, the foot switch is working, and I'm very satisfied. So I'll put the links to as much as I can in the description. If you got any questions on anything I may have encountered with this or how it works, please send me a comment and I'll get back to you with whatever information I can answer. So have a good one later on.